Hi there, my name is John Turner, and I have a question for you. Do you like to read? Do you like fantasy? If so, then you might be interested in tonight's film.
Oh, this is something special.
It's about a little boy who happens to be a bookworm and a land of imagination in turmoil. The movie I'm describing is The Neverending Story, which was released at a time when other such fantasy adventures were hitting theaters. Most of these were of variable quality, but this movie was one of the few to get it right. Having said that, The Neverending Story is no escapist fantasy. This is a surprisingly dark and often harrowing tale filled with shocking moments, including one memorably tragic scene which has scarred legions of children. Indeed, there are times when The Neverending Story almost feels like a Grimm's fairy tale. Now, the Brothers Grimm, as you remember, originated in Germany. Incidentally, so does the author of the book this movie is based on, Michael Ende. Ever since it was published in his home country in 1979, Ende's fascinating tale has enchanted millions of readers across the globe. The book was so popular that it was inevitable that a movie would be made. German filmmaker Wolfgang Petersen, who had previously directed Das Boot, spared no expense in translating The Neverending Story to the screen. It cost 50 million Deutschmarks, which at the time was quite a lot of money, especially for a German film. Much of this was on account of the spectacular visuals which were required to bring Ende's fantasy to life. Although there are moments when the film cuts to the real world, The Neverending Story primarily sets in Fantasia. No, I don't mean that Fantasia, a masterpiece though it is. I'm talking about this Fantasia.
I never knew it was that beautiful.
It is indeed a beautiful and often scary world, populated with a bizarre cast of characters. Because computer technology didn't exist back then, these beings had to be created the old-fashioned way: puppetry, animatronics, stop motion, and blue screen. Even some of the locations, such as the Ivory Tower, were made from small-scale models, like this one. Visual effects artist Brian Johnson, best known for movies like 2001: A Space Odyssey, Alien, and The Empire Strikes Back, was brought on board to bring life to The Neverending Story's fantastical landscape. Principal photography was primarily done at Germany's Bavaria Film Studio in Munich, while other scenes were shot in Spain and Canada. As with most movies based on books, compromises had to be made for The Neverending Story's transition to film. Petersen's version only covers part of the book. Now, sometimes authors can be fiercely protective of their work, and Michael Ende was one such person. In fact, he sued the producers for taking such liberties with his vision. Ultimately, however, he lost the case. The Neverending Story went on to become a smash hit when it was released in Germany on April 6, 1984, earning over $100 million worldwide. Yet the film that American audiences are familiar with was somewhat modified from its original release. Steven Spielberg was brought in to tailor the film for the United States, trimming approximately 7 minutes of its running time. Mostly, it was to give the film a faster pace. Most notably, additional pieces of music were provided. While Klaus Doldinger's haunting score survived for the most part, Giorgio Moroder wrote some additional melodies, including this memorable theme song. Premiering in American theaters about 3 months after its German release, The Neverending Story was only moderately successful at the box office. Yet it proved to be a favorite for audiences in the 1980s when it was issued on video. Even 40 years after its release, the film remains a much-loved classic. In case you haven't seen The Neverending Story yet, you're in for a treat, because now we're about to experience this remarkable fantasy on the big screen. I hope you enjoy the movie, and who knows, it might inspire you to read.
That's what I'm talking about.
Now, let's sit back and watch the Neverending Story.